everyone. I'm going to give just one more minute for participants to join in. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar focusing on extended planning and analysis, breaking down silos. All participants will be on mute. However, you are encouraged to ask questions using the questions button found in the bottom right corner of your screen. We will be receiving questions throughout the event and answering them at the end. This event is being recorded and upon completion will be available on demand. So we encourage you to share it with your counterparts in case they were unable to attend today. Our opening comments will be delivered by Mike McDonald, the managing partner of ITA Data Solutions. Once again, thank you for attending, and our session is now underway.
Thanks, Gabrielle. As Gabby mentioned, my name is Mike McDonald. I am the managing partner here at Insight to Action Data Solutions, also known as ITA Data. Really, my role here is to ensure that we stay on top of technology trends and listen to the needs of our customers so that we can bring new operational improvements to them. As you all know, you've got day jobs to do, and keeping up with the ever-changing technology is very difficult. Today, we're going to be presenting something known as Extended Planning and Analysis, or xP&A. And this is actually a relatively new concept that many of you may have been doing to some extent, but the terms and capabilities have truly changed over the course of the last couple of years. So what I really wanted to do is kind of give you just a bit of a backdrop of how we got here. So back right around the turn of the century, we were really stepping into a time with the client-server technology and networking capabilities had enabled enterprises to really use software platforms to manage business. It really provided a good network of capabilities with many disparate systems sitting around the enterprise, helping us really run the business as best as possible. Back in 1999, Gartner came up with the term corporate performance management, or CPM. And this was really kind of the financial driver behind business operations, where we were building out a singular financial plan that had a P&L focus and really used budgeting as the primary driver, the primary control mechanism around operational performance. The technology, though it had been better than 10 years prior, was still very siloed. It was dependent upon spreadsheets, heavy reliance upon IT. The time just to retrieve data and reconcile data was really kind of cumbersome. So that drove some new changes, and new technologies emerged that really provided some systems that we can now use to perform the same functions. But those were still disparate systems. So we had demand planning platforms, FP&A platforms, ERP platforms, all containing some of the data, but not all of the data. But we started linking the strategic and financial and operational plans together, and would have a series of manual reviews. Surya, could you go back a quick slide real quick? Sorry. A series of manual reviews around this information. And it started to be classified as Enterprise Performance Management, or EPM. This was all scorecard-driven reporting. We had some level of automation, but there was still some dependency upon IT. But we are now stepping into a time in which Data processing has really sped up. The emergence of connected devices, the ability to actually process and maintain unstructured data has driven new technology advances. And so we are now stepping into this place where we can truly start to take a singular view of an integrated strategic, financial, and operational plan. It really hadn't happened before the last couple of years. And in fact, Gartner just named this xP&A back in 2020. It was one of their new terms that they came up with. But it is something that we have seen on the supply chain side of our business for a long, long time. Many of our customers, as we were implementing demand planning solutions for them, wanted to be able to understand what does this forecast look like in terms of dollars. Most demand planning platforms actually, we forecast in units, and then there's a conversion process to this. But what extended planning and analysis enables us to do is really kind of merge those, not really kind of, it really allows us to merge that financial plan and that operational plan so that we can really take a look at what future activity looks like. Michael Hammer, who's a U.S. economist that I follow, once said, the secret of success is not to predict the future, but to create an organization which can prosper in an unpredictable future. And that's really what xP&A allows us to do. If you could move to the next. Because we've now got these fully integrated plans, and it's not just around demand and sales planning. It's around headcount planning, market planning, all of these coming together on the financial plan where we can break down those data silos, remove that barrier between operational and financial planning, create a real-time view of operational performance that gives us faster decision-making capability. We're talking in real time, being able to see how we are performing against planned and budget so that we can make adjustments. And it's not always with a negative impact. It's not always finding that heavy anchor that's weighing us down. It's identifying new areas of opportunity for investment where we can derive greater benefit from financial investment. So here to present an overview of this solution. This is not a deep dive demo, but really an overview of capability, is my dear friend Surya Tamada. He's the CEO of Cloud Scouts. He's got over 20 years of building data warehousing and business intelligence platforms with a specific emphasis around financial planning and analysis. And in 2019, he started a group called Cloud Scouts. And in 2020, we started working with them to really explore what it would mean to our client base if we could bring the demand plan and the financial plan integrated together. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Surya. I'm going to go on mute. But as Gabby said, please feel free to register questions in the question bar. We will do our best at the end of this to get to it. But at the end of the day, this is our Ask the Experts session. So please take advantage of that. So, Surya.
Thanks very much, Mike. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. So a quick and important point that I'd like to mention here is thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Warm welcome. And thank you for taking time to join this new and exciting times of, extended planning and analysis. So, before even discussing about industry challenges, there's one thing that I would like to understand. Are we not bringing these sales and operations plans or financial plans and comparing them together already? It's not something new that Gartner might have come up with xP&A in 2020, but we've always been doing this. But if I have to draw an analogy of what it is, so let's take communications as an analogy. If we take communications as an analogy, we've always done communications, but if you look at 500 years ago, where we used to send pigeons to communicate versus today, an instant communication with a messenger or an email. So, what has changed? We've always been communicating. It's basically the need or importance of doing something instantaneously. Immediate results is what is driving the very need for these technological advancements, etc. So if you come back to the very need of extended planning and analysis, yes, I mean, we've been doing this. I mean, we're doing supply chain and sales and operations plans and demand plans and everything in a different silo, and financial plans separately, and we're comparing them somehow. But now, if you look at it now, today, the need for it to be integrated as processes is absolutely important. We have been through the very COVID situation. We understood how supply chains have been affected, impacted, and how we dealt with it. So it is absolutely important for us to integrate both of them. Here, having said that, I would like to bring it to your attention that what are the industry challenges today that we are trying to address. It's nothing, again, I mean, not something that is absolutely new or anything. This is always there. I mean, if you look at it, reduced profitability. There is a lot of competition in the market today. So obviously we have to work with very light margins. And then, of course, the costs are continuously increasing. And on top of it, if our processes are not integrated, see the kind of, I mean, the supply chain issues that we have, and they're not aligned with our financial strategies, or the top-down, the board level decisions are not falling through into our operation level, day-to-day operations. I mean, what kind of situations that we are getting into? So that's another thing. And then the kind of siloed processes in each individual departments are working with their own agenda. So it's not going to work out if these are the current challenges in any organization that we are talking to. These are the current challenges that everybody is saying that they're facing. So with that note, just one second. If I just move to the next thing, these are the basic individual processes that we have been dealing with individually. We all know this. I mean, for example, if you look at financial planning and analysis, well, revenue planning, OPEX planning, operational expenditure planning, I mean, whether they're detailed or, I mean, whatever, top down, bottom up, but we've always been doing these independently within FP&A area. I mean, workforce planning, whether it is headcount planning or staff cost planning or capital expenditure planning, whether they are fixed assets planning or capital projects planning or strategic planning. I mean, all these items that we're doing separately. And look at S&OP processes. We know how demand forecasts or inventory plans or production scheduling and all these things are coming together. But the problem is both of them are not talking to each other. We will come to it, why xP&A has come. But I mean, if you look at this particular thing, if you look at these particular processes, we are very, very familiar with these two processes individually though. But as we mentioned earlier, the problems that industry is facing today is basically these are two separate processes. Unless we integrate both of them, we cannot achieve what we want to achieve. So with that note, if I move on to my next one, take a look at this. xP&A is nothing new. It is basically bringing both financial planning and sales and operations planning together. If I have to take a simple example of how we want to deal with xP&A, I mean, if I have to set a proper context to it, let us say, for example, board has said, yeah, I mean, our top line has to increase by about 10%. Let us say we are in a manufacturing situation and a sales situation where we know we have to increase our top line by about 10%. We know, yeah, it's a multi-billion-dollar business and 10% is not a normal amount. Then if that is the case, just increasing the top line in a strategical plan doesn't work out. I mean, that has a serious impact. And as a manufacturing company, that means we have to sell those many extra products or extra items. If you have to sell, it has sales planning impacted, and then it has to the company has to manufacture those many extra items. Then manufacturing planning, I mean, within that we have a gamut of, we have to create demand, so it impacts demand planning. And if you have to create demand, the marketing gets impacted, so marketing planning. And if all these things, production scheduling, workforce planning, headcounts, I mean, the rippling effects of changing one particular thing. Just if you see, we made a simple dial, we turned the dial in FP&A, but we have no way currently in the current scenarios that trickle down to sales and operations plan, and then show, how a change in revenue can impact different areas of operations. So that is very much important. That's what we are kind of right now. Not many organizations are equipped with that, or probably for that matter, not many organizations even at that stage where their maturity of their EPM is at a stage where that can be integrated. Now, as Mike mentioned, Gartner has come up with this very idea of xP&A, extended planning and analysis, where we have to bring both of them together so that organizations talk to each other within the processes, individual processes talk to each other, and then the flow of information actually supports the organization's strategy and a way to achieve that strategy. So now if you look at extended planning and analysis, the definition that clearly mentions it, want to bring together financial plans and supply chain plans together so that we are kind of helping the organization to achieve what it wants. With that note, if I say, why do we have to go with, FP&A, all right, it's operational day to day, all right, FP&A is like financial plans. Why do we have to go take really, extended planning and analysis over FP&A? We are happy with what we are right now. But then the business platform, the dynamism in the business is completely changing. If we are not integrating, now is the time that we integrate our processes than ever. If we are not ready with our processes integrated, the people are not talking to each other, the processes are not talking to each other, it's very, very difficult to stay ahead of the curve. So it's very important. So just imagine you have volumes and prices already set very clear in one part of the process. And suddenly there is a requirement, due to marketing plans or production plans or something, due to pricing strategies, you've made changes. But then that has to reflect FP&A on the other side. So that kind of integration keeps the entire organization from the shop floor individual to board, everybody in line with the strategy that the organization has. But the back and forth, if a change happens at top line from a top-down point of view, trickles down to shop floor. The same way, there's some change. There is a production schedule change that has a straightaway impact on your revenue. So how are you going to talk back and forth is what is all about xP&A. With that point in mind, if you look at the real-time and holistic business visibility, it's very, very important. That's one of the reasons why it is important for organizations to move from FP&A to xP&A. In the same way, it's the same. And we have always tried to achieve single source of truth. We always think about single source of truth from technology point of view. We wanted to create a data warehouse and create all data in one place so that everybody looks at the same data. Yes, that's correct. But then single source of truth, not only with respect to the technology, it is also with respect to the process. It's a continuous process. People talk about continuous planning. So it's a continuous process from very simple pricing strategies to volumetric data and how that is impacting your financial data, your headcount, staff costs data, your labor costs, how that has a direct impact by your production scheduling and your demand planning, your inventory and everything. So that kind of continuous planning is absolutely important. That is, from that point of view, we are kind of talking about single source of truth. That is the kind of single source of truth that we want. We don't want to have any kind of silos, so that continuity brings the real single source of truth. Okay, so and then every business wants to achieve top line, but then it cannot be achieved until we have this kind of alignment. So full business alignment is absolutely important. With these things, it's absolutely important for us to choose xP&A or FP&A or S&OP individually. Okay, with that note, I would like to show you a few screenshots and few items and how things can look like. But before that, I would like to take a little pause and ask Gabrielle to, there is a poll that we wanted to conduct for a minute or so. If you would please answer the poll questions quickly, and then we can move on to the other parts of the meeting. So the poll is mainly about what is your current S&OP process in your organization today. It is basically, we are trying to understand the maturity of your organization's EPM or S&OP processes. I mean, it's very manual to fully integrated and automated. We'd like to understand if you be kind enough to really check where you are. That would be really helpful. That's great. So, Gabrielle, can we go ahead, or do you have another poll question to ask, please? Okay, there's another poll question. Please go ahead and choose your answers wisely, please. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating in the poll. So moving on to the next sections of our discussion today. So before getting into the tools and technologies, there's one thing I would like to mention here. So xP&A is a concept. xP&A can be a framework that can exist and that lets you use various tools and technologies. So xP&A is not a technology. It's a framework. It's a concept that lets your organization move beyond the ability of current silos, etc., etc. It's not a technology. You can use various technologies that exist in the market to achieve xP&A. So there could be different technologies that you could be using within the sales and operations side, supply chain planning side, supply chain enablement side. And similarly, you can use various tools within financial planning side. The most important thing that we need to understand here, because we are integrating different processes, the most important thing that we need to understand here is the data integration. Technology integration. I mean, the technology is what that enables xP&A for you. So the technology that you chose to achieve xP&A needs to be integrated properly. At the same time, data needs to be integrated. There's one more important thing that we need to understand here is the security. Here, throughout the process, there are various departments and various types of individuals or groups involved to make xP&A possible for us. When that kind of situation is happening, it is very important to have a proper data security to be available as well. So it is that's where a proper roadmap with respect to xP&A, how are we going to achieve xP&A, that roadmap is absolutely important to think through how people, processes, and technology is bringing all these things together. It's very, very important to think through it. So with that note, if you look at the way xP&A, I mean, some of our customers who try to stay ahead of this curve and who try to achieve xP&A how we solved the problems there is basically we help them set up all the supply side of the technologies, where your volume related information, where your price related information are all taken care of. For example, in this screen, you'll see a screenshot from GIB, Supply Chain Execution Tool, which stays on top of SAP, but it's extremely efficient and fast, and it works it's almost like SAP on steroids, I can say. So it's that fast and that integrated rather than anything. Within supply chain planning, supply chain execution capabilities, we can have multiple silos. That's what we try to solve by bringing all of them under one umbrella, so that a change in one place completely. So connected planning again here, it takes care of every other area. So if you look at it, some of the screenshots that we wanted to share here, basically volume derivation from S&OP. So how we're using GIB to achieve very crisp volumetric data updates and planning volumes for supply chain planning. And similarly, if you look at how you deal with prices, prices and volumes, you can have price volume mix, PVMs and stuff like that, and that can be achieved within GIB. So this screenshot basically talk about how volumes and prices are connected with each other, and we can achieve a kind of planning within supply chain side of it. With that, if you see the kind of xP&A framework, how the financial side of it, when we integrate, now we have seen supply chain side of it, how volumes and prices are all together, but then how that can be integrated with SAP Analytics Cloud on the other side. We're talking about SAP. We have taken SAP as an example to show how integration can be achieved. Now, if you look at it, the xP&A framework, the volumes and prices are literally coming from the other side of the river. The volumes and prices are completely fixed, and they are real time. You made any changes, and we want that kind of items to be updated real time on the SAC side as well. So if you look at the diagram here, xP&A framework, volumes and prices that drive revenue calculation. The revenue planning part of financial planning and analysis is purely driven by the volumes and prices are set in the supply chain area, or S&OP, sales and operations planning side of it. And the discounts, COGS, and all these areas either can come from there if direct costs are, the rebates or anything are planned in supply chain side of it, or sales and operations planning side of it can come from there, or we can have SAC delivered as well. So once we have it, the revenue calculations or direct cost calculations can happen there, driving you towards gross profit calculation and net profit calculation. But assume a situation where you're tweaking your gross profit calculation or revenue calculation. Your revenues will top down. If you make some changes to revenue that, no, I don't want this revenue, it has to be 10% more, then the kind of retraction that needs to happen from there back into the supply chain side, and then the adjustment of volumes and prices that can achieve the target revenue. So that is the power that we are talking about in the xP&A framework. So if you look at some of the items that we have done for our customers, is if you look at it, sales and revenue planning, these are some of the items. You make any changes on the sales and operations side, and all those values automatically in real-time basis gets updated within SAC for their prices, for their volumes. Similarly, for other areas like any discounts or rebates or anything, that you have. But if you look at how powerful something can look, if you look at this report, how powerful something of this nature can be for the organization. If you're looking at your sales and operations plan with a real-time updates to your price plans or your volume plans or your marketing plans or whatever, And if you can look at your sales and revenue planning at a customer segment level, at a product segment level, or at a customer level, and if you can have your partial P&L, you have your gross profit level, operating income level report that can show you why a particular customer segment or a customer or a particular product segment or a product is performing in a particular area, in a particular geography or something, how powerful that can be. The report itself is very powerful, but it is integrated to real-time reflections on how things are changing across the organization. I want to stress on it because it's not one way, it's bidirectional. So data comes from sales and operations side into the financial planning side. And then if there are some tweaks and twists happening in financial planning side, that goes back into supply sales and operations side and suggests what needs to happen so that we can achieve the target. So that kind of power is not an easy thing to achieve, but xP&A makes it possible for us. So with that note, I would like to bring this presentation to conclusion. Gabriel, back to you. I would like to happy to take any questions and see how we can answer them.
Thank you, Surya. So we have a couple of questions. The first one is, what role does automation play in xP&A, and how can it streamline processes, reduce manual work, and improve efficiency?
Okay. Hey, I think it's a good question. So integration and automation goes hand in hand, to be frank. So if you look at the way we have just shown you, it is automated. It is absolutely important. Here we are integrating the processes, but integration can only happen by automating. Just because you integrate, nothing can be achieved. All the changes of data has to be automated to reflect in the respective technology, other side of the financial planning, extended planning and analysis. So automation is absolutely important. And when you're talking about automation, we always talk about technology. Here, the most important thing that we need to understand is xP&A is talking about integrating processes. That is more important. With that, and along with automation, I think the flow of data back and forth needs to, flow of data back and forth can achieve what we want to achieve.
And Surya, if I can jump in there, yes, I totally agree with that. And then I think the next layer of automation is coming sooner than any of us can really anticipate when we bring in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Because platforms like this, once you have got something to learn from, such as certain behaviors, certain actions that you've taken in the past, the what if scenario planning component of xP&A really can be impacted by that next layer of automation, the MLAI piece of that as well in the scenario planning, which is a big component of this.
Perfect. Mike, thanks very much for that. To add on to that, what we discussed so far. So, for example, there's a 5% increment on your revenue. What kind of impact it has on marketing expenses? Mm-hmm. We can only achieve the kind of automation that we have and integration that we have. The data can flow back and then provide a clear insight into how we need to achieve that. What needs to be achieved. It's very, very important. Thanks very much, Mike, for that. Yep. Does it answer the question?
We're ready for the next one. So the next question is, are there any common challenges and potential roadblocks in implementing xP&A? If so, how do we overcome those?
Yeah, I agree. So, I don't know whoever asked this question. It could be somebody who's tried or something to implement, and then they must have discussed about the kind of issues that they could face. I totally agree and understand. I think slightly we discussed during our presentation. the most important thing, I mean, we are integrating processes. Each process is quite used to act independently. They're like, yeah, they're in their own silos. So now if we are trying to bring them together, there'll be challenges, no doubt about it. First of all, it's not easy to get a buy-in. I mean, there are organizations that are already much advanced, like some of you, who are realizing the importance of it and they want to implement it. So leadership buy-in is very, very important. And on top of it, change management is not easy with respect to this, because here we are asking people to come onto the same table and discuss and resolve their silos. That's not easy. And we've also seen some data integration and data security challenges. That's why, I mean, I was kind of mentioning data security related issues. In the past, the problem has been, I mean, it has to be absolutely clean. Some of the departments, for example, headcount plans, headcount and staff costs should never be disclosed to some of the other departments. I mean, that's just one example, but there are others, many of them, who, I mean, the kind of data security and privacy related matters. And the other big problem is resistance to collaboration, because although everybody is working towards one common objective, but there is a lot of resistance to collaboration. This is what we observed. Departments are used to work in a particular fashion. They don't like to change their ways, because, I mean, finance department, because ultimately we're dealing with people, right? We're not dealing with machines. So they're used to working in a particular fashion. So now bringing them together and creating a particular process going forward, it's not an easy thing. So we faced a lot of issues in the past. That's one thing. Do you want to add anything here?
Now I was going to say the organization really has got to move toward a business partner culture where you are collaborating. We're no longer just reporting numbers coming out of our sector. We are truly pulling the numbers together to make the best decisions for the company. So that is, I agree, that is one of the big requirements that will make you successful here.
Yeah, no, that's great. And also the other point is, as we are introducing a continuous planning, there's always, it's something new. I mean, if you change something here, the financial plans change. Change something there, the continuity and the flow of information from one place to another place might create some more resistance in the organization. But that's for good. That's where the change management come into play. That's where we need to educate and enable people, I mean, how good xP&A is and what it can bring, the benefits that it can bring onto the table for the organization to stay ahead of the curve. So it's very, very important.
Okay, and we have one final question. What are the specific KPIs that xP&A typically focuses on, and how can we align them with our strategic goals?
So, I mean, we've been dealing with these KPIs. There's nothing that we don't know or anything. I mean, we know these KPIs already, but then the way when we bring these processes together, that's where we are creating a lot of difference. The regular KPIs, like, I mean, we can say the financial KPIs, the operational KPIs, sales and marketing KPIs, the supply chain and logistics KPIs, or anything, I mean, any of those. But the only thing is, previously, when we're talking about FP&A, they never used to care about others. I mean, they never worried about the KPIs in the supply chain area. They only used to take care of, okay, only financial KPIs I'm worried about. Only if they are looking good, I'm all right. But the impact of those on other areas is what we've never cared about. But now with xP&A, you turn dial in one area, one KPI is going up, you'll immediately see the impact of it on other KPIs. So that's the beauty. I mean, if you have a dashboard where one KPI going up has a positive or negative impact on other KPIs, that's the beauty of it. I mean, so it's very, very important to have these KPIs. We're not doing something, that's why we kept saying, right? That's how we started as well. We took communications analogy as well. It's not something new. We have done it, but we have done it in a sending mails through pigeons kind of a style. But now we want to get to a stage where instant messaging kind of a style. So that's what, if we integrate these things, all these KPIs, they're integrated. So change in one lets you know how the other departments or other parts of the organization are performing. So that's basically it, if that makes sense. And there's one thing that I would like to mention. On top of all these things, I mean, with all these questions, there is another important thing that we need to understand is when you're dealing with xP&A, you need to deal with somebody who understands it very thoroughly. I mean, an organizational roadmap, an xP&A roadmap is what we discussed. So this is where we come to table. We know exactly what is right. We have been there, and we have been there, done that, and then we know exactly what to bring for the organizations to think through for xP&A process to be implemented. So it's very, very important to draw a proper line, draw a proper xP&A strategy, without which it's very, very difficult. Again, without understanding all these areas, going forward is very, very difficult. So with that note, thank you very much. I mean, Mike, is there anything else that you want to add there?
No, Gabrielle, if those are the questions that we have, then I can close out.
Yep, that was it.
Perfect. So first of all, on behalf of all of the members here at ITA Data and Cloud Scouts, we appreciate you taking the time. Technology is a rapidly changing area of our business, and if we are doing our job correctly, we're bringing this type of information to you to help you think about what is the next way to make your job performance more efficient, more impactful on the business. If you ever have a question about something, feel free to reach out to us as well. But we will be doing these sessions once a quarter for the next several years for sure. And hopefully we're bringing new information. Our next session will be in Q1 of 2024 around master data governance. Really, how do we solve the garbage in, garbage out challenge? At which point we will be presenting to you both a process and a platform for master data governance. You will receive mailers ahead of time, but we hope that you enjoy we hope that you attend that one as well. So on behalf of everybody here, thank you very much and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.